Today our guest is Amy Seiwert, choreographer, innovator, leader, and artistic director and founder of IMAGERY, a contemporary ballet company.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Amy, you are a very renowned female choreographer. How has it been moving ahead in a climate where successful female choreographers are rather few and far between in the dance world?
It's interesting. I do feel like there has finally been a tipping point where things are changing, and I really think this next generation of women coming up and creating are going to have a very different experience than I had, and I'm grateful that that has finally happened. Back in 2012, Imagery did a sketch series that was all women choreographers, and I was talking to the head critic at the Chronicle at the time, Alan Ulrich. I said there was a lack of women creating in leadership positions in ballet, and he dismissed my premise. He said that it's not true. And the thing I said that gave him pause was that in 19 years, as a professional ballet dancer, on a main stage, I only danced one work by a woman. And I was never in a creative process with a woman. Every world premiere that I did was by a white male. When I was growing up, my mom's sister, my aunt, she was a Broadway dancer. She was assisting Gower Champion on 42nd Street, and he passed away on opening night, which meant that she and another fellow were in charge of that show its entire run in the 80s. So when I was young, I remember sitting in the aisle in the theater and like watching her take notes. And there was one point where I got to watch her run an audition. So I got to see someone who aesthetically worlds apart from what I was doing, but I got to see a woman making a living as a leader in her field. I think that mattered. I think it really, it never occurred to me that this was something that I couldn't do.
Well, it certainly prompted a very successful and creative career for you, and how wonderful that is.
Yeah, I'm lucky.
Yes, very much so. Talking about the present pandemic that we're in, right now, there are no audiences in theaters, and there might not be for a while. So where do you see dance developing from here, and how is this perhaps making you think differently about what you do as a choreographer?
Yeah, it's interesting because solo work is not my interest. I love creating duets. I love creating group work. I love I love interaction between people. And of course, right now, every creative thing I'm thinking about is either a solo or a duet. I mean, it's a duet if people are already living together and sheltering together. You know, at this time, it's really an evolutionary moment for our field, right? Like, we can't have ballet the way we're used to having ballet. No one's doing Swan Lake anytime soon. But what can we be in this moment, right? So there's really three main ways we can move forward. We can do stuff in a theater with limited audience. That's the most complicated because even still, just the whole backstage puzzle of how people remain safe is the question that everyone's trying to figure out. But we can also do stuff outside, and we can also do dance film. So right now, those are our three main things. And I think when we stop trying to replicate what the traditional experience of being in a theater is, and actually look at the new things as opportunities, not as a replacement, but as something new that hopefully still engages our community and still inspires and still serves, then we can get this bridge to where we're going to be in hopefully not that much longer, but, you know, reality-wise, you know, we keep building that bridge. To me, just stopping and doing nothing is not an option.
So you think it's a rather exciting venture coming up?
On a good day, it feels exciting. On a bad day, it's exhausting because none of these roads are easy, right? There's no easy path forward. It's all new. It's all reinventing the wheel. I think the fortunate thing is that we're all in it together, and I think there's a lot of sharing of information and strategy right now happening in the field that is really unprecedented.
Do you think that this new digital virtual world is here to stay as part of the future of dance?
Yeah, I do. And I think there's an opportunity there. We don't normally document anything other than, from the back of the house in a full screen shot. So we do have the opportunity to explore creating stuff that's more similar to a dance film, even though it's a theatrical production. The opportunity right now, some of the digital Zoom classes, some of the people who are taking beginning ballet because they can turn their camera off and no one's looking at them. I think that's going to serve our field well, because I think the more people who fall in love with ballet, the better. I think there's a way right now to reach people who we weren't serving before, who maybe couldn't leave their house or didn't have the time to leave their house, type of thing. So I think there will be, on the other side of this, a weird hybrid that develops that will hopefully serve more people.
Like, how do you get audiences excited and passionate and inspired about what they're going to see in an immersive theater experience?
In a traditional theatrical experience, the viewer has to make the time. I'm going to the theater tonight at 8 o'clock. There's a mindset that's happening where you enter into a theater that when you're just hitting play on a computer is not the same. The entire experience of time is not the same. As dance makers, we can get patience from the audience in a way that you cannot in a digital format. I do love dance film because it is completely different. I think there's a new perspective that the audience can have. You can see faces and emotion in a way that you can't normally in the theatrical experience, just because there's just that massive space across a pit. Even if you're in the front row, you're still that far away. But how to make it truly immersive is a challenge. I had an amazing opportunity to actually use an Oculus VR rig, like a real one, not like the Google Cardboard kind of thing, like the actual real rig. And I was shown a film, which is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. And it was a full VR film. The whole thing was so surprising and so beautiful. So, I mean, is this the time right now where we can explore VR in terms of dance film? Like, I don't know if anyone from Oculus wants to try something out. I'm game. But like, where can we get to something that's unexpected and that is surprising and that still creates empathy, and can we still create community in this virtual realm? And that's a worldwide challenge right now that we're all working on.
Well, that's perfect to complete our interview. And thank you for joining us. It's been just really wonderful to hear what you have to say. You do a lot of collaborative work too, so the world really for whatever you want to do. It's really exciting, I guess.
Whenever you can work with someone who's in a completely different discipline, I feel like when you get to see your art through their eyes, it's just a gift.
Well, Amy, thank you so much. I think it was great speaking with you, and I appreciate everything that you said. I know the audience will.